What does your school's entrance say about your environment, right? When a student, a parent, a stakeholder walks into your building, what does it communicate? What does it say about the school experience? What do you want it to say? I'd argue that it probably doesn't communicate what you want it to communicate. And no fault of your own, right? As a school leader, we don't go to school to become designers. And this might be a very invisible aspect of your school and low hanging fruit, to be quite honest, because a quick redesign, if you freshen up the entrance, man, can you create a culture? Can you create emotions, feelings, and experience that is really a remarkable one and what you want your students, stakeholders, right, community members to have? Uh, think about most schools, right? I want you just for a second to pause. Think about exactly what does your school's entrance look like? Are you satisfied with it? Again, what do you want it to communicate? Think about schools that you've attended, right? What did those entrances look like, feel like? What do you remember about them, if anything at all? Were they inviting? Did they make people feel like they belong, like you are seen and heard in this space? Were they remarkable? What'd you love? What'd you hate about maybe these schools that you've experienced in the past or your current school? When it comes to design, this is actually part of a project that we do in a program that I'm very excited about. We're offering it for the fourth time called the Principal Success Path. It's getting kicked off in January. We've heard feedback too from people that have gone through this program, and we've made some changes to lower sort of the workload, but still have the same kind of impact and value. But this video is not about the Principal Success Path. I just wanted to identify that design is actually one of the projects that leaders, ruckus makers complete by doing the path. What I want to talk about today is 3 design tips that will help you create the kind of entrance, the feelings, the experiences that you want your community to have when they walk through your entrance. So 3 design tips. This is very short. 1, investigate your own experience. So in the intro, I asked you about what do you remember about schools, buildings, right? These kind of things that you've entered in. How do you feel when you enter a certain type of space? Think about, maybe you go to a temple or a meditation hall or a church or a mosque, right? When you walk into these spaces, how are they designed? How do you feel when you cross that threshold of the entrance? Think about a ballpark, right? I had a professional milestone when I got to work with one of my most favorite principals of all time, Lauren, who is down there in the Virginia area. And we got to do a kickoff workshop for his staff at the Kennedy Center of the Performing Arts. This was an incredible experience for me. It's so beautiful, wonderful, right? And it makes you feel like, oh, this is a special historic kind of place. And how do they do that? Statue of Kennedy. They got a replica of the Declaration of Independence, other historic, things on the walls, art, so on and so forth. Lots of light, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so really, really cool stuff. Then he brought me to a Nationals game, right? And they were playing the Cubs. And so this was like, honestly, like watching 2 minor league teams play baseball, even though they're pros. But it was a cool ballpark, right? I was excited to be there. Never had been to that stadium. And it really has this great energy, great vibe. And I don't remember the year that they won the World Series, but as soon as you enter the park, right, they're showing off. We won the World Series just a few years ago. They got huge pictures, right, of their players and this kind of stuff. And they want to communicate like, this is your team. We've been good in the past, although they're not good this year, and this kind of thing. And you're really, really happy to be there. So that's a ballpark. Visiting some friends and doing a keynote out in Denver, I got to connect with some old friends, and we went to like an old school arcade, right? And so that had a different type of feeling. And the retro, right? The retro type of nostalgia that you might think about and experience as you walk through, and they got the pinball, and the old arcade games that you used to play as a kid. Imagine going to a dive bar or a concert. So tip one is to investigate your own experience and think about the entrances of all your favorite places and how do they make you feel when entering. Tip number two, what actions do people take when entering, right? So in Chicago, I taught at a school named Brooks College Prep. And being Chicago on the far south side, you can imagine that they had metal detectors as students came in. Where they entered were basically big glass sort of windows in this hall area. And the first thing they did was go through the metal detectors. If I were to redesign the entrance and the experience for those students, I would have people at the doors, maybe like Doc Jones, who's out there in Massachusetts with his welcome sign Wednesdays, positive, affirming messages, really welcoming, exciting kids as they come in. But in all honesty, the first experience was get off your coat, right? Take off your bag, put it through the metal detectors. And it was just like being at an airport and you're thinking about, is it safe to be here, right? And so that could be changed, The metal detectors will still be there, but the first feeling, experience, first action that students would take could be totally different. Recently, I was at a silent retreat, right? If you didn't know this, I did a 7-day silent retreat. No phone, no internet, no technology, no talking for 7 days. Just meditation from 6:30 in the morning until 9 at night. And what was an action that we did as we entered the meditation hall? We took our shoes off, right? And so there's this feeling of, just reverence, or there's a feeling of respect, for the experience. And I like that. I like that a lot. We do that at our house. We take our shoes off too when we come in too. And there's some about like cleanliness with that as well, right? So that was a silent retreat. Walmart. A lot of people have been to Walmart. What's the first thing you experience when you come in there? Somebody's saying hello and they're excited that you're here. How can they help, right? They intentionally station greeters at the entrance of Walmart so that you experience and feel something when you're there and that there's help and etc. So that's all I want to say about number two. Number three, when it comes to the entrance, think also not only that first action, but what's the first impression? So what do you want the first impression to be when people enter your school? As I mentioned, we talk about designing the principal success path. It's one of the projects. It's early on in the system. Glenda, who's the principal in Massachusetts, this really hit home for her. And she was like not happy with what her entrance used to look like. And like most schools, it was just not much there. But she wanted kids to feel like we so want you to be here. You're welcome to be here. You belong in this kind of thing, right? And so she completely redesigned the entrance and just taking that one action. Many people in her staff said, Glenda, what got into you this summer? What have you been doing differently? Your energy is so much different. And the teachers were saying, we are so excited to be here. What would you pay for your staff to say, what have you done differently, principal? We are so happy with, whatever you're into, whatever you've done this summer, you know what I mean? Like the energy you're bringing, like this is an exciting place to be. And the only changes she made, one was to the entrance, and two was into investing in herself by joining the principal success path to grow her leadership skills. That's it. But people noticed, and that was the only action she had taken at that time. And she took a lot more and saw some great results. Demetrius is one of my favorite principals out in California as well, Northern California. At his school, large high school, it says welcome home, right? There may be something about family too. So what's that communicating, right? To students and community members and stakeholders, right? That you belong here, that this is a family. Family elicits ideas of intimacy, right? That connection, that we're together in this. And it's the first thing you see as you enter the building. So I'm not saying you have to have welcome home, hey fam, that kind of thing. But again, what do you want to communicate? What's that first impression? Speaking of Demetrius, I just taught him something, and I'm not going to do it here on this live video, But I do want to share this idea with you because this is an invitation. I am doing a brand spanking new challenge with absolutely new content. You've never seen this before. It's called the Maximize Your Margin Challenge, right? And you can join at betterleadersbetterschools.com/margin. And basically, this is a 6-day experience. There's a number of new things about this challenge, so I'm briefly going to explain it. One, the other successful challenges I've run before, I've plugged in email and video and tools and all this kind of stuff. It was delivered to you via email automatically, right? But there was only one live call for social interaction, Q&A. How do you implement the ideas? Where were you stuck, right? Helping you get better. This is a totally new experience. So new content, I'm going to describe that in a second. But every single day is actually going to be a live call, right? And it's totally free. So usually working with me or joining the path or the mastermind, there is a financial investment involved, obviously a time investment too. So now there's just a time investment. This costs nothing. It's completely free to do. And I also wanted to mirror the experience that you'd have if you're ever interested in joining the Principal Success Path or the Mastermind. The way we transform your life and your leadership and help you grow is through these live experiences with excellent content, tools, and times of implementation and application, right? Ideas are easy. Execution is everything, right? Ideas are good, but they're not great. That's because action is where everything is. And so during these live experiences, we'll have this teaching, we'll have these tools that you could fill out. You will start to implement and see the results immediately, right? You can transform your life and leadership. We'll also have time for Q&A as well. So if you can anticipate being stuck, or if there's something that you don't understand, or maybe it's day 2 and you want to ask a question about day 1 content, you'll be able to figure this stuff out. So this is super cool. It's going to be 6 days. So Monday through Friday and then another Monday. Here's what you'll learn. Day 1 is going to be identify your goals day. So that's exactly what it sounds like. Day 2 is cleanup day. So this is all about creating margin, right? If you're overstressed as a school leader, if you just like are feeling the burden and you could use not necessarily a break, but you want to live and lead on your own terms, we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Part of finding more margin is identifying the things that are in the way. Some of these things we know, some are invisible and it's more like unconscious. We're not aware of them. If we could do something about it. So day 2, we're going to clean up the calendar in that sense. Day 3, we're going to do something called creating our principles or bumpers or life rules, right? And so if you had some boundaries around, and you might already have this, but having strong boundaries, life principles, bumpers, maybe 3 to 5. I have 3. Anyways, they help you say yes to the right things, no to everything else. And that creates, guess what? More margin in your life and leadership. Day 4 is called Own the Day. Now I have, and you're welcome to download this. My most popular download on the website is How to Create Your Ideal Week. It's a 6-day video course. You watch the videos, you get the templates, and then you have to implement it on your own. Well, I never teach this live, but I'm going to in the challenge. And so I'll teach you how to create your ideal week. You'll get a tool, a template. You'll get to ask questions because there's always questions about how does this work in my life as an administrator? And I'm going to show you the path. So that is day 4. Day 5 is leverage day. There are certain tips and tricks, right? Things that I've done to be more productive. And usually when you can work more productively, guess what? You can create more margin because you're not wasting time. You're being efficient. And so day 5 is all about leverage. And I'll share some of the best tips and tricks that will create that leverage for you in your life and leadership. Then you'll have the weekend. Nothing on the weekend, so you can rest and recover. And then on Monday's a very special day. This one is called the bonus day. And on this day, we'll do Q&A over all the content just to make sure you're feeling good about it. And you're going to want to come to this. Remember, I was talking about Demetrius? Here's where it ties in. I taught Demetrius recently, probably, 3 weeks ago, how to eliminate, are you listening? How to eliminate email from his life as a principal. You can do it. And it's sort of like, not necessarily a joke. You're not going to get rid of it entirely. He spends 20 minutes or less on email a day. I could teach you how to do that. He's a high school principal, over 2,000 students. So we're not talking about a small place, right? And he has a very, very engaged parent body, right? So he's getting all the emails that you're getting as well. You can get rid of that. And that's on day 6, okay? All this content will be recorded except day 6, the bonus day. So you have to be there live. I'm going to give you tools and templates that help you process the information and actually implement so that you can see results. We're in the results business as leaders. You only get those tools if you show up live. It's really important. And again, why do I do that? Because ideas are good. They're just not great. It's all about action, right? So if you're there, you can ask questions. You could actually build momentum, implement the ideas, take action, and see the results in your life as well. So you can see this on the video, right? Maximize your margin challenge. We're getting started in December. I want to say December 5th. It's in the email when you sign up. Make sure you confirm your subscription when you do. Otherwise, you won't get the email, the invitation to the challenge. And you can join at betterleadersbetterschools.com/margin. Just to review what we talked about today, 3 design tips. If you're not happy with how or what your school communicates when students, parents, community members walk in, there were 3 design tips. We talked about investigating your own experience. How do you want people to feel? We talked about what actions do people take when they enter, right? And we talked about the entrance, which is your first impression, and what do you want people to have when they enter your school? And then the challenge, just to review, day 1, identify your goals. Day 2, clean up day. Day 3, create your rules. Day 4, own the day. Day 5 is all about leverage. And day 6 is the bonus day where I'll teach you to eliminate your email, to spend 20 minutes or less. Yes, as a principal, even of a comprehensive large high school with a very engaged parent body. You can do it. Demetrius could do it. Other ruckus makers have done it. I have done it. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you in the challenge. Bye for now, and go make a ruckus.